Hey y'all. I wasn't sure how I was going to start this video, but I felt compelled to say something because I'm watching so many critical race scholars and people who research diversity, equity, and inclusion and STEM education be attacked by the government, particularly people who have this vendetta against DEI and are not taking into account the credibility, the rigor, and the value of a lot of the projects and the grants and the work that has been a contribution to the advancement of equitable spaces in the United States. I read an essay briefly of someone who was talking about like the impact of these times on like their physical safety, their physiological safety, etc. And I want to say that it is very real when you are mentioned in reports, when you have people who come after you, when you are a target and people do not know you and they assume that what is written about you is true. That is very debilitating, humiliating, stressful, disrespectful, all of the things that are negative. When I was a department chair in my institution and I went through this version of hate and was attacked individually, very personally, it was hard. I remembered people not knowing who to believe or what to believe because this was supposedly an isolated incident. And if you fast forwarded to where we are now, it's just that so many people are going through the same thing, but you're more likely to believe that it's real or that there are issues because so many people are going on and it's so public that so many people are experiencing harm and they're talking about it on social media, they're posting, they're writing. I mean, it's just this massive, very crushing destruction and dismantling of people, entities, systems, and ways of working that are related to diversity, equity, and inclusion. That being said, I had to think a little bit about how I'm approaching this because I hungered for people to rally for me back in the day. I wanted people to say, Monica Cox is not that person and we are going to destroy anyone, anything that comes against her. And I will admit I had several people who did come to my defense, but at the time, the institution, the infrastructure did not want to defend me so openly. There was no passion of this is wrong, your work is valid, you are a scholar, you are a fellow, you are a presidential awardee, you are someone we value, you are someone who is worthy to be heard. That was not it for me. So a lot of the support that you see from so many people where they're saying like this is unjust, I didn't get that, y'all. I didn't get it. And I talked to my husband about this, and it was this thing like when I would share these things with him, he's like, well, is it kind of like an I told you so moment? Like, what is it? What is this? And I'm gonna be honest, this is just hard to process. Like, I'm seeing the trauma, I'm seeing what is going on with other people, and I can kind of predict what's going to happen because people are going to go through cycles of grief. They're going to be upset. They're going to wonder why certain people didn't stand up for them, particularly at the government. They're going to wonder, about their credibility, and not that they don't believe they're credible, but if they're credible, how did this happen? So it's institutional betrayal. It's just a lot of stuff. There's just going to be a lot of pain, a lot of frustration, a lot of disappointment. And so they're going to go through this process of grief and loss and things that you really shouldn't have to go through at work. But I went through that too. And, I've had to pick up the pieces over the years. I've had to just hold on and believe in something bigger than myself. I had to really convince myself that I was worthy. And even as the people who said nothing continued to kind of sweep what I went through under the rug, I had to believe that I was still worth fighting for. I was still worth listening to. I was still worth saying that something was wrong and that I deserved better than the betrayal that I saw at an institution that professed diversity, equity, and inclusion, but could not stand by the very principles and shared values that they tout on websites and in the media and wherever they want. Okay, their branding. My so what? So what? The so what is that this is going to have long-term effects on people. It's going to hit them one day that the very organizations that they thought that they could work in and that had their backs didn't have their backs at all. And they were more concerned about preserving the infrastructure than preserving the people. The long-term impact of this is that there are going to be people who don't want to enter the academy. They don't want to be professors because they don't trust the institutions or trust that the government will even honor the very constitution that that is written. And that people will not even be bold enough when something is wrong to speak up and say, you were done wrong and you deserve to be done right. Y'all, you're losing that. And that's what gets me. It's the short-sightedness of institutions that say we're so busy trying to implement unjust laws that we forget about the people and the impact of those people and the generations that will come beyond those people. These institutions forget that we are just one part of history. And I truly believe that those who come after us will look at us and will say that we did not do enough. And that in fact, we cowered. We allowed a bully to tell us to treat people in an inhumane way and as less than humans should be treated. That we kind of allowed that person to go back to a 3/5 person type mentality where you start to erase the history of someone based on the color of their skin, based on something that goes against supposed values that narrowly define what it means to be an American. Y'all, history is going to remember who spoke up. History is going to remember who oppressed. Because it does not matter how much you used to believe in justice, if you are in a position right now and you are implementing laws that are unjust, you are just as bad as the perpetrator. You are the perpetrator. And in fact, you should be held more accountable because you know better. You know better. Do you need a job? Do you need a dollar that bad that you're willing to pretty much take a noose and wrap it around your fellow colleague's neck? Are you so desperate for fame or for this pot of imitation gold that you will persecute people who look like you, who sound like you? And if it were not for you being in that position, you too would be in that situation. Is it worth it? Is that how you want history to remember you? Is that how you want your family to remember you? Is that how you want your colleagues to remember you? Because if you are participating in any of this and are not speaking out and are just sitting there like a bump on a log and hoping that it'll just get better, you are part of the problem. I say that boldly. I don't care how many awards you have. I don't care how many titles you have. I don't care how much money you make. If you are not saying a word, you are the problem. And you are not exempt from harm. You think you are, but you're not. A closed mouth is still going to get attacked. When you represent the disgust and the things that are looked upon in a negative way, you are not exempt. Your silence will not preserve you. Believe that if you want. But you are a co-conspirator to harm. Y'all, I said all that. Didn't know what I was going to say, but I hope this makes someone think. I hope it makes you critique yourself. I hope it makes you look ahead. And I hope every day that you work, you are satisfied with what you do because you are stamping your mark in history, for better or for worse. This is not judgment. This is just a locator. And if you are that person, I hope that we never cross paths because I'm going to call you out and you will not oppress me. You will not take me down. I will fight. We will go down together. That is not a threat. It is just the fire that is within me, and it is the fire that a lot of us need to have about these times. I hope that if you're not courageous, you get a little courage because that's what's needed. if we're going to make it through. Peace and blessings.